Hello and welcome to another video. Today I am bringing you my TBR for Eurovisionathon. If you don't know what Eurovisionathon is, I have mentioned it on a few previous videos, but it is a month-long readathon hosted by Helen over at Helen's Bookhaven, and it takes place from the 24th of April all the way to the 22nd of May. So it goes across months instead of just being a 1 month. So obviously I did already give you my April TBR a few weeks back. That was obviously for my TBR for the 1st of April to the 23rd of April. This is my Eurovisionathon TBR. There is 40 books. I managed to find a book for every single one of the 40 countries that take part in Eurovision. I'm not going to read 40 books, but I've got the options. This was actually so hard to find books for some of these countries, and I did sort of cop out on the last two. So I found as many as I could, and then when I got down to the last two, I just picked 2 books that are to do with Eurovision, because obviously they're going to have all the countries in. So bit of a cop out, but I'm taking it. They still count. So I'm just going to go through the countries and the books I've picked and why they fit for the country. Hopefully if you are taking part and you need some ideas, you can get some ideas from this. A lot of these I don't own. A couple of the ones that I will be showing you and also showing you are either library books or script or audiobooks or ebooks. Just I've sourced them from all different places. My library probably loves me right now because I am like, I've been reserving books like crazy, and so far I've only had 2 of them come in, so I've got them to show you. But let's just get stuck in. Also forgot to mention, I will put the link to both Helen's YouTube, Helen's Twitter and the Eurovisionathon Twitter in the description box below. So please, please, please go check her out. She is amazing, and this, honestly, I'm so excited for this readathon because Eurovision is like one of my favourite things. So let's go. So first up we have Albania, and for Albania I will be reading A Girl in Exile by Ismail Kadari. The author is Albanian, and that is why I have picked it. I'm not going to go into synopsis for these books, by the way, because there's 40. But Albanian author. Next up we have Australia, which still baffles me that Australia is still in the Eurovision. Like, they were invited 1 year as a guest and they just stayed. They're not in Europe. Anyway, for Australia I will be reading Obsidio by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. Obviously both authors are Australian, and this will be finishing a series, so I'm very excited to finally finish this series because I started it like 2-3 years ago. So yeah. So next up we have Austria, and for Austria I will be reading The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. So the reason I've picked this one is it is to do with Mozart. I can't remember the exact synopsis for it, but it's to do with Mozart, and Mozart was Austrian. Next up we have Azerbaijan, and for this one I have picked The Orphan Sky by Ella Leia. So for this one the main character lives in Azerbaijan, so this one fits. Next up we have Belarus. Now for this one I have picked The House with Chicken Legs by Sophie Anderson. Now I know what you're probably thinking, that's Russian folklore. However, I did some research because I had already picked out my book for Russia, and as per the Wikipedia page, Baba Yaga has appeared in hundreds if not thousands of folktales in Russia, Ukraine and Belarus predating the 18th century. So for me, it would work for any of those 3. So I'm taking it. Plus I really want to read this book. Next up we have Belgium, and for this one I have picked Nowhere Boy by Catherine Marsh. So this, and for this one I believe the main character lives in Belgium. So there we go. Next up we have Bulgaria, and for this I'll be reading The Master by Dora Oliva. For this the author is actually Bulgarian, so perfect fit. Next up we have Croatia, and for this I'm picking The Secret Cove in Croatia by Julie Kaplan. And obviously it's in the title, this is set in Croatia. Next up we have Cyprus, and for this I'll be reading Secrets Under the Sun by Nadia Marks. I looked into this and this is actually set in Cyprus, so I can use this. Next up we have Czech Republic, and for this I'll be reading Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. This is the second book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, and the first book is set in Prague, so not only do I get to continue a series that I really enjoyed the first book of, but I get to fill a prompt. Although this is a little bit chunky, so why do I do this to myself? Next up we have Denmark, and for this I'll be reading the first book in the Magnus Chase series, which is Magnus Chase and the Sword of Summer by Rick Riordan. Obviously Denmark is one of the 3 countries where Norse mythology originates from, so the other 2 countries, expect to see the other 2 books. Next up we have Estonia, and for this I'll be reading Norma by Sophie Oksanen. So Sophie Oksanen is a Finnish Estonian author, so this works. Also, look how gorgeous this cover is. It is stunning. Next up we have Finland, and for this I'll be reading Comet in Moominland by Tove Jansson. I have not yet read the first book. This is the second book in the Moomin series. I have not read the first book yet. However, the first book is only 67 pages, so I will be reading that before Eurovisionathon starts, because this one is just over or just under 200 pages, so I'll be reading this one for Finland. Next up we have France, and for this I'll be reading Dangerous Remedy by Kat Dunn. This is set during the French Revolution and it is set in Paris, so I'm really excited to finally get this one ticked off of my TBR. Next up we have Georgia, and for this I'll be reading Ali and Nino by Kurban Saeed. So this book, if we were allowed to double up, I could have used this for Azerbaijan as well, because this book features a Azerbaijan male main character and a Georgian female main character, so that is why I've picked it for Georgia. Next up we have Germany, and for that I will be reading Twisted by Bonnie M. Hennessy. So this is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, and I looked this up and apparently Rumpelstiltskin originates from Germany, so there we go, the more you know. Next up we have Greece, and for this I'll be reading Circe by Madeline Miller. Obviously Greek mythology, I don't need to explain that one anymore, but I am really excited to read this, and I have this on audiobook, and my mum listened to the audiobook a while back and she enjoyed it, so hopefully I do too. Next up we have Iceland, and for this I'll be reading The Polar Bear Explorers Club by Alex Bell. So I was a bit wary about this one because I looked it up and it said it was set in the Icelands, but as in one word, Icelands. Now, you would think from me saying that, that means it's just in icy lands. However, it's literally in capital. It's a capital I for Iceland's, so I'm taking that as it's set in Iceland and we're going with that. Plus it's a fairly chunky middle grade, but it's a middle grade and I'm really excited to read it, so yeah. Next up we have Ireland, and for this I'll be reading The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde was an Irish poet and playwright, therefore it fits for Ireland. Next up we have Israel, and for this I'll be reading The Language of Thorns by Leigh Bardugo. Now this readathon is teaching me some new things because I did not actually know that Leigh Bardugo is Israeli American, so I can use her books for this prompt, and I have not yet got to Language of Thorns. It's got some stunning illustrations in it, so I'm really looking forward to finally reading it. Next up we have Italy, and for this I'll be reading Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerry Maniscalco. I'm very excited to read this, and this is set in, I believe it's Sicily to be precise, but obviously that's Italy, so it is set in Italy. Next up we have Latvia, and for this I'll be reading Petra the Latvian by Georges Simonon. If I've pronounced either of those names wrong, I apologise. I did try to look up the pronunciations, but I couldn't find it anywhere, which is really weird. But yeah, obviously it's in the title of the book, need I say more? Next up we have Lithuania, and for this one I'll be reading Tween Shades of Grey by Ruta Septis. So I believe the main character in this is from Lithuania, and she's taken from Lithuania, so but she's from there, so this works. Next up we have Malta, and for this I'll be reading The Christmas Promise by Sue Moorcroft. So I looked into it, and the author basically grew up in Malta, so this works. Although I'm still a bit about the fact I'm going to be reading a Christmas book in April/May, but it's fine. Next up we have Moldova, and for this I'll be reading The Illusionist by Fran Hekroty. Again, I apologise for the pronunciation if it's wrong, but this is actually set in Moldova partially, so it fits. I'm saying it fits a lot, but you know, what else can I say? If it fits, it fits. Next up we have North Macedonia, and for this I'll be reading Firefly by Henry Porter. So in this the main character travels to North Macedonia, so you guessed it, it fits. Next up we have Norway, and yes, this is another one of the 3 countries that Norse mythology originates from. So I'll be reading Magnus Chase and the Hammer of Thor by Rick Riordan. This is the 2nd book in the trilogy. You're probably guessing where I'm going with the 3rd one. Next up we have Poland, and for this I'll be reading The Widow Queen by Elżbieta Tereszynska. Again, I am really sorry if I have pronounced that wrong, but this I don't even know how I discovered this. I think I saw someone talking about it, and the book itself sounded really good, so this was an accidental find. The book sounded really good, and then when I looked into it, it turns out the author is Polish. No. So not only does the book sound really good, but the author is Polish, so I can use it for the Poland prompt. I was actually going to buy the book physically, however, I don't need any more massive books, so I bought it on Audible instead. But I still bought it, so I'm really excited to read it, and yeah. Next up is Portugal, and for this I'll be reading Death at Intervals by Jose Saramago. So the author is from Portugal, so obviously it fits, but I believe this also is published under the name Death with Interruptions. I could be wrong with that, but the English version I could find is called Death at Intervals. So yeah, I've reserved this at my library, I think it is, but it actually sounds pretty good, so yeah. Next up we have Romania, and for this I'll be reading Hunting Prince Dracula by Carrie Maniscalco. I've been wanting to continue this series for a while now, and this is the perfect opportunity because this one is set in Romania, so I'm looking forward to finally getting to this. Then we have Russia, and for this I'll be reading Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. I didn't actually realize this. I'm so like oblivious sometimes, but the Grisha world is partly inspired by Russian folklore, so it fits for Russia. Next we have San Marino, and this is one of the ones which was one of the last ones I found, so it's one of my cop-outs, and for this I'll be reading The Good, the Bad and the Worst by Jeff Tibbles. Obviously this is going to have all of the Eurovision countries in, at least mentioned, so, and I believe this is a non-fiction because this is like moments from Eurovision over the years, which, oh my god, yes, I need to read this. Next up we have Serbia, and for this I'll be reading Snippets of Serbia by Emma Fick. This one is actually really hard to find, but it looks like the author has posted pictures of every single page of this book on their website, so it's gonna be a bit awkward to read, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Next up is Slovenia, and this is my other cop-out one, so I'll be reading Over My Dead Body, Murder at Eurovision by Christoph Fischer. Again, this is set at Eurovision, so all the countries are going to be mentioned. Next up we have Spain, and for this I could not pick anything else other than Witches of Barcelona by Caius Knight. I'm so excited to read this, it is unreal, so I was never going to pick anything other than this. Next up we have Sweden, and you guessed it, it's Norse mythology. So it is Magnus Chase and the Ship of the Dead by Rick Riordan. It's the third book. Yes, I'm using the trilogy. I'm going with it. All three countries are where Norse mythology originates from, so I'm going for it. The next one is Switzerland, and I'm really reaching here because I'll be reading Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. Now you're probably thinking, Cassandra Clare isn't from Switzerland. She doesn't live in Switzerland. However, she did live there for a fair chunk of time. So I'm going with it. This is part of a reread buddy read that I'm doing, so I needed to fit this on because it's chunky, so I needed to do it. Next up we have the Netherlands, and for this I'll be reading The Letter from the King by Tonke Dragti. Again, apologies for the pronunciation there if it's wrong, but I can't actually remember if it's the main character that lives there or the author that lives there, but it is one of them, so it does fit for this prompt, so it's fine that I'm using this. Next up we have Ukraine, and for this I'll be reading The Land of Stone Flowers, A Fairy Guide to the Mythical Human Being by Svetlana Dorosheva. This one sounds so interesting, and this one I believe the author is Ukrainian. Okay, so I just double checked, and the author is from Ukraine but does not currently live there. But that's fine, she's still from there, so it does count. And finally we have United Kingdom. This was the easiest one because I had my pick. I could pick anything. However, I have gone with one of my favourite British authors, and that is What Magic Is This by Holly Bourne. This is very short. It's going to be a very, very quick read, and after some of the chunkers on this, I need a quick read. And also this is one of the few Holly Bourne books I haven't yet read, so I'm really excited to get to this. Obviously Holly Bourne is British, so I can use it. However, most of my contemporaries and whatnot, like a lot of my books are from British authors, so I could have really gone with practically anything. So that was all 40 books for all 40 countries. That was a lot. So obviously I have sort of stretched it a little bit with some of these, but I am sticking to the rules, and especially with the Norse mythology 3, I did actually check with Helen that it would be okay if I did that, but you know, it does work because Norse mythology originates from Scandinavia, and the Scandinavian countries are Denmark, Sweden and Norway, so as long as I'm not doubling up, it was okay to do that. And I'm not, because I'm using a whole trilogy which is 3 books for 3 countries, so it's absolutely fine. I will be buddy reading the Magnus Chase books with my mum, because obviously we have buddy read the Rick Riordan books so far, so we'll be buddy reading those too. But I am really excited, very daunting, because there's so many books, and I'm using this as an opportunity to read out of my comfort zone. A hell of a lot of these, especially the ones that I'm getting from the library or Scribd or whatever, are not books that I would read at all. Like Ali and Nino is sort of like Romeo and Juliet type story. It's not a retelling, but it is that type of story. I don't really like romance unless it's fantasy romance. Some of these books are really dark, like Norma is apparently pretty gritty. I don't usually read things like that. There's a few books on here that are definitely not my type of thing. There are a few that are like contemporary romances, but do you know what? I'm going to read out of my comfort zone, and hopefully I'm going to have a good time doing it. But if I do not enjoy some of them as much, then I do have a hell of a lot of books on here that are ones that I know I'm gonna love. So, you know, I've got a mix. I am not completely going out of my comfort zone, but I am still a little. So thank you, Helen, for creating this, because I'm excited to go out of my comfort zone, because I always need a reason to read out of my comfort zone. I won't just go, oh yeah, I'm going to read out of my comfort zone. That's why it's a comfort zone. But I'm very excited to take part in this. I am so excited that Eurovision is going ahead this year because I missed it last year. However, that is everything. So let me know in the comments below if you are taking part, and if you are, let me know some of the books you'll be reading, especially for the more obscure countries. Like some of these were really hard to find books for, and I did actually take to the Eurovisionathon Twitter, so every day Helen has been posting a different country and what she's reading for the country, and I was literally each day, for the ones that I didn't have books picked for, I was going on to it, looking at what she had picked, and then looking at what other people were replying, and that is actually how I found quite a few of these. So thank you to everyone who replied on the Eurovisionathon Twitter page, because you helped me too. But yeah, that is everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and just to let you know, obviously this does not run for the entirety of May. It only runs till 22nd of May, so I will at some point in the beginning of May be uploading a TBR video for that last week of May, because I will be hosting my own readathon. So yeah, I'm very excited. Thank you so much, Helen, for creating this readathon, because Eurovision is the best, and I will see you next time. Bye.